with a daily news brief. It's Logan Pettis.
Good evening, St. Joseph. I'm Logan Pettis and you're not, and tonight's news can be summed up in one sentence, and that's everything is fine if you don't look directly at anything. We've got a state champion who didn't lose a single set, a school district that lost half its money, and lawsuits stacking up like unpaid bills, and a facilities plan that changes more often than the gas prices. So yeah, let's buckle in and start with tonight's top story. Ridge Stagner, state tennis champion, 6'3", 6'1", no sets lost, 3 straight semifinal appearances. This kid is so efficient, the school district is considering hiring him as a consultant. Say, Ridge, can you come in, look at the budget, and just, win it in straight sets? Because right now the district's in a 5-set match with reality, and they keep losing the paperwork. In other news, the district thought it had $30 million. It had $16 million. Where did the other $14 million go? Nobody knows. It's gone. Not misplaced. It's not hiding. It didn't take a vacation. It's just gone. I'm sorry. You don't oopsie $14 million. That's not a typo. That's not, oh, I hit the wrong key. That's, I baked a cake, and half the cake is missing, and I'm still serving it. Who's eating this cake? Who looked at this and said, yeah, seems right, ship it? And now we find out that Fund 4 underfunded for 4 years. HVAC not maintained. Schools hitting 40 degrees. 40 degrees. That's not a classroom. That's a meat locker with homework. Find out another lawsuit that was filed April the 27th. Summons was served after a delay that felt like, sorry, we couldn't find anyone. Really? In 2026? We can find a Domino's driver in 12 seconds. But the school board is suddenly living off grid? Allegedly. Just answer the door. That's it. That's the whole rant. You don't get to run a public institution and then go, shh, shh. If we don't move, they can't serve us. That's not how this works. That's how toddlers avoid bedtime. Of course, we know about the 52-page lawsuit. There's bond mismanagement, bid issues, CIP failures, allegedly. And I love that word now, allegedly, because it's doing the work of a full-time employee at this point. Allegedly deserves benefits. Board members are arguing over legal information like, you're the voice, you're not the decision maker, you're withholding information. So this recent meeting had everything. Confusion, frustration, passive-aggressive professionalism. It's not a board meeting anymore at this point. It's Thanksgiving dinner with microphones. And come to find out they're building a living document, which means it changes constantly and nobody's really in control of it. So, like everything else, enrollment projections, missed. Seat counts, wrong. Empty middle schools, 1,500 seats. But don't worry, we're going to fix it by moving the emptiness somewhere else. And then, in city news, we're broke. But also the city, here's a package for $400 million in expansion. Now, again, jobs are good, but the optics, we can't afford warm classrooms, but we can afford tax incentives. Then, of course, we've got the Missouri Constitution that it's like, if you do that, you forfeit your office. It's clear, it's simple, it's direct. And our response? Let's discuss. You don't get to sit around going, well, I interpreted it differently. No, it's not a poem, it's the law. There's no, what did the author mean? The author meant, you're out, done, finito, over. Graduation is this weekend at the Civic Arena. Metal detectors, no confetti, and a whole lot of kids sitting there thinking, man, I made it, and also maybe just in time. And now you're telling people it's efficiency, it's necessary, it's progress. No, it's loss. It's kids losing stability. It's teachers burning out. It's communities watching their history get bulldozed. And then, after all that, you turn around and say, trust us. Trust you? After what? The missing money, the lawsuits, the confusion, the we'll get back to you governance? Trust is built on consistency, not chaos. And this is where it stops being a joke. This is where I stop joking again. But not really, because I remember this. I remember Robidoux. I remember being a kid in those halls. Kelly Hoffman, Joe Medley, Kendall Russell. Vance Combs, Justin Watson, Chris Hughes, Josh Curtis. Yeah, I threw a desk at him, but we were kids. It built character. Mr. Pummel yelling, quiet, quiet, like it was his life's mission, or chewing on Ryan Keener's ear with some sort of educational alligator, or that little monkey in the electric stapler that growled and slammed down. And somehow that was just a normal Tuesday. Or Miss Ford in the opposite room in lit class were watching The Outsiders, and the way she, Master Pommel, like it mattered. It did. What about Coach Henry? Coach Henry in the eyebrow, and do you smell what the coach is cooking? And what about crazy rascal Beeman? Mr. Beeman and all of his lessons, jumping through the wall. Hey, my name is Beeman and I'm crazy. He taught me about simile. He taught me about metaphor. He taught me about all the colorful language that I use in these broadcasts right here. Or Mr. Buckler drilling into us about respect for self, respect for others, and responsibility. And who can forget Robidoux Accelerated Middle School, the school on the move, academically. Drilled into us like it was the law. What about Y dances? Or not getting to go because you screwed up and wound up in ISS with Amy Wyrick? What about the national treasure that is Marta Sansone? Getting in dumb fights, getting into trouble and learning from it. I had a coach there tell me, you're a problem for me and a problem for my aide, Caleb. And yeah, maybe I was, but you know what? I still had fun. I still learned. I still figured out how to stand up for myself in there. That place didn't just teach you math. It taught you how to be a person. And that's the part people making these decisions don't seem to understand. That wasn't just a building. That was where you became somebody. And now we shift because Eugene Field, over 100 years, is closing. Lafayette is done. Pershing, done. Memories boxed up, and they call it efficiency. Look, strip away everything. The lawsuits, the politics, the allegedly, the consultants, the meetings, and what's left? Kids losing schools that felt like home, teachers wondering what gets cut next, communities watching memories get bulldozed into something called a plan. And for me, this is personal. These are my neighborhood schools. These are my friends. These are people that I grew up with. People like the Kristen Bibb, Sarah Tebow, Mallory Hardin, Casey Sharp, Nikki Kidwell, Molly Ketchum, Amanda Ashford, Ashley Funk, Elizabeth Newman, Amanda Hughes, CJ Davis, Casey Sobek, Alicia Connor, Jason Musser, Emily Duke, Alyssa Duke, Aaron Corbett, Brandon Spellman, Chastity Garcia, so many more. And if I didn't say your name, it's not because you don't matter. It's because there are too many of you to name in the class of 2005 and subsequent classes, before and after. That's what those schools were. Those were people. I read a post from my friend, and he's a fellow classmate, teacher at Pershing Elementary School, about a farewell the other night, about teachers reconnecting, old memories, the Pershing pledge of once a Panther, always a Panther, and that hit me, because that's what this is really about. It's not about closing buildings. It's about tearing out pieces of people's lives and calling it progress. And yeah, I'm angry because I know what those places meant, because I lived it, because I'm watching kids right now lose something they don't even realize they're losing yet. You don't get to take that away and then ask for trust. And that's why I do this. That's why I'm making these silly news broadcasts. That's why I say something. That's why this one is going to hit different. I'm Logan Pettis, and this isn't just the news. This is for everyone who has walked the halls of those schools that you're closing, for everyone watching it disappear, and for everyone who knows that they deserved better. Good night, St. Joseph.